Mitchell.
Very privileged to stand up on behalf of New Zealand First for our estimate debates in the Māori and other populations and cultural sector, and I'm going to specifically talk about the internal affairs section. But before I get started, Mr Chair, I just want to bring everybody's attention back to just before we went on our dinner break. And there are a number of fine men and women in this House, and one of them who I consider to be one of those gentlemen is Chris Finlayson. And so I was a little bit perplexed as to many other people in the House when he was completely off base and off tangent when he was referring to our Right Honourable Winston Peters with some of his remarks. And it got me thinking, Mr Chair, that perhaps the problem was that he was just a little bit hangry, a little bit hungry and angry prior to dinner. And so I've brought him along a Snickers bar that perhaps we could put in a little wee glass box out the back and break in case of an emergency, so the next time he gets angry in the House he can go out the back and relax himself. So I hope he returns rested and well ready to fight. Specifically, what I'd like to talk about this evening is the fire service. And yet we see another review in the fire service. This is the 17th review in the fire service in the last 21 years. 17. This is the 17th review, and it begs the question is what's going on? When I troll through the budget that was released this year, there's not a single solitary cent, not a dollar being put forward to our fire service. And yet they are sitting down spending more money yet again to review the system. It's not fit for purpose, it doesn't work, and there's no funding allocated to allow this very crucial organisation that supplies so much to our communities to move forward. Let me just go through some of these statistics. We've got 17,000 career firefighters around New Zealand currently. We've got 8,300 urban volunteers giving up their time, risking their lives and helping out in those communities, and another 3,500 rural volunteers. At the moment, we have got an absolute state of disrepair on a number of the buildings that are actually housing our fire service equipment. We've got 79 career stations, 360 volunteer stations and 187 rural fire forces. And the buildings that they are operating out of are barely fit for service. I mean, we are seriously putting our fire service people in some perilous situations if this government doesn't come up with a better funding model. And let's talk about that funding model, because currently what we're hearing from the Minister of Reviews, we should be retitling him to, is an idea that we're going to put the search and rescue and the urban search and rescue into the fire service. Well, that does make sense. Accolades to be given where credit is due, and that's credit is due. However, the silos in which this government places all of our emergency service providers in is not fit for purpose. When we've got the likes of Surf Lifesaving New Zealand providing safety, education and saving lives, who are also doing a job of the search and rescue, working hard, volunteering their time and efforts and energies on the beaches around New Zealand, 77 surf clubs around the country. Then of course you've got the Coast Guard, who do another fantastic job of rescuing those people at sea, search and rescue, looking for them, and yet there's very little correlation or an organisation that can be put under a single heading that enables them to be funded as a whole and be taken seriously as an emergency service provider. Mr Chair, when we look at the fit for purpose and what the fire service actually provides with its urban search and rescue, with its search and rescue around the country, they put out fires. Who do we call when the rain comes down and the floods come in, Mr Muller? That's right, your local fire service. The amount of times we've been out there on the streets pumping water, clearing out people's houses. When your cat gets stuck in a tree, who do you call? Local fire service, Mr Muller. That's correct. And of course, as we go on, they become, the fire service is the first point of call when we've got an issue relating to emergency service providers. Who do we call when there's a car accident? Who comes along and issues and administers first aid? The fire service. And yet we've got these silo situations where the government are putting these organisations into various blocks and underfunding them and complete and utter uninvestment within this service. Let me just bring your attention, I'm speaking quite quickly because 5 minutes goes so fast when you're in the House. Let me bring this to your attention, which was an OIA, and it was the Minister's briefing coming in, so officially released. There is an underinvestment in rural fire reduction and readiness, and the changing service scope is making it difficult for the Commission to adapt to new demands. Mr Chair, we need to be fit for purpose. We need to be up and ready with the 21st century. I doubt that this review is actually going to do much with regards to what the government is going to do to put funding into this absolutely vital, essential part.
Hayes.
Chair, and I'm pleased to stand to take this 5-minute